Hi, welcome to day 14 of the morning yoga challenge, and today's theme is foundation. So what we will be doing today is really bringing our awareness and our focus to what is supporting us and what we have in contact with the ground. So when we work through a few of these poses, I'll be bringing your awareness down to what contact we have with the floor and what's supporting our body. This is really important because if we have a really good foundation, it will help support us and also protect us from injury. It will also mean that we'll be better able to progress into more advanced poses as well. So when we're ready, we'll come to a standing position. We want our feet about hip distance apart, arms down by the side. So this is mountain pose. So it looks like quite a simple pose, but a lot of people do tend to have room for improvement in this pose. So if you take a look down at your toes and notice whether your second toe is pointing forwards, maybe readjust the feet if it's not. You can also have this pose so the feet are touching. And if that's the case, you want the big toe touching and a little bit of a gap at the back of the heels. So just take whichever option is best for you. Usually hip distance apart means that you have more potential for good balance, I suppose. But everyone's different. So now if your feet are hip distance apart, you can bring your hands to fists in front of your body and then just bring those fists down. And that is about hip distance apart, so that tells you whether your hips are stacked over your ankles and you've got a really good foundation there. And now on the inhale, just lift all 10 toes off the mat and start to bring your awareness to where your weight is distributing in your feet. So is it even through the ball and the heel of the foot? So if you can just bring your weight forward slightly, see if you notice a difference. A lot of us tend to be slightly back in this pose and have most of our weight in the heel of the foot. So if you just bring it forwards, just notice whether you are now grounding down through all four corners of the feet. And on the exhale, you can place those 10 toes back down. From here, bring your hands to your hips. And on the next inhale, just lift that left leg up in front and really start to engage the muscles in the straight leg, pulling up from the kneecap, engaging the inner thighs, just drawing them together. You might start to wobble in this pose, that's perfectly fine. It's a great way to strengthen the calf muscles, the muscles around the ankle. And on the exhale, just see if you can start to hinge forward. Make sure you've got enough room behind you. And slowly, with control, place that left foot down behind you and come onto the ball of that left foot. So you'll arrive in a high lunge position. You want your knee stacked over your ankle, and you're on the ball of the foot here as well. You can start to push through the heel of the foot, and then just notice whether your hips are still in line, and if they're not, just start to draw the inner thighs together. You should notice the hips come into alignment. On the inhale, you can reach the arms up. And slowly on the exhale, just start to bring the knee down to the mat and then untuck those toes. Take a couple of rounds of breath here. And then we'll tuck the back toes again and slowly lift that back knee up, back in to a high lunge. On the next inhale, start to bring the weight forward into that front leg, so really start to feel the weight into that leg. And slowly, with control, see if you can bring that front foot back to the front of the mat, bringing the arms down beside you. So we're back in our mountain pose. So we'll do that on the opposite side now. Notice whether this side is slightly different to the other. We do tend to feel slight differences in one side to the other, so it's perfectly normal. It's just something to be aware of. So this time really start to engage the muscles in the left leg. Bring your hands to your hips and just bring that right leg up in front. Then slowly with control, start to bring the weight of the torso forward as you slowly send that right leg back behind, coming onto the ball of the back foot. Checking the front knees stacked over the ankle here. It just means it's a lot better for the knee. Check whether your hips are in line. Maybe move the back foot back slightly if you like. And on the inhale, reach the arms up. And slowly on the exhale, start to drop that back knee down to the mat. And tucking the toes. So while we're here, you can bring your gaze just down to the knee and the foot and notice whether they're about hip distance apart. Sometimes we tend to be a bit more in a straight line, but it's actually better for most people to have about hip distance apart, and you'll also notice it's a lot better for the balance as well. Now from here, tuck the back toes again, start to push through your foundation, lifting back up. And slowly start to bring the weight forward, feel the weight come into that front leg and lift that back foot off the ground, coming back into our mountain pose. You might like to shift the legs out a little bit. Perfect. So we'll make our way down to the mat now, so you can come down any way that you like. And we'll just make our way into an all fours position. So while we're here, you want your shoulders stacked over your wrists, your hips over your knees, and start to really grip the hands into the floor. So you want to start to see the tops of the fingers turning white, and then start to push through the index finger while you're here. So you might start to feel the forearms really engage. So we want to try and keep this engagement in the hands and the floor throughout all our hand balancing. Not that we will do any hand balancing poses today, but through all hand balancing poses, so poses like handstand. We also want to use it in poses like our downwards dogs and planks. So we'll move into a plank position now, trying to keep that contact with the floor, so the whole palm of the hand should be in contact with the floor. This helps reduce the weight just going into the heel of the hand, which can cause a lot of wrist issues. So once you're ready and your hands are set up, stacked over the shoulders, send the left toes back, come onto the ball of the left foot, and then send the right toes back onto the ball of the foot. Ideally, the backs of the heel, you want the heel stacked over the ball of the foot. And notice whether you're dipping down in the shoulders, and see if you can just push up between the shoulder blades. Draw that navel in. And then drop the knees down. Just come back onto the heels. Interlace the fingers and just give yourself a couple of wrist rolls in one direction and then the opposite direction. And we'll make our way back into our all fours position. Start to push into the hands again. This time we'll tuck the back toes and just lift the knees off the ground. And then from here, continue to lift the hips up and back into our downwards dog. It is the first downwards dog of the day, so maybe taking some movements, bend and straighten one leg at a time. If you do this, notice whether you can get the heels on the floor. It doesn't matter if you can, just notice that contact. ready, just come to a static dog. Bring your awareness back to the hands. Notice if you're really gripping into the floor. Broaden through the shoulders. And then notice whether you're on the balls of the feet or whether you're working towards bringing the heels down. Only bring the heels down if you can keep the back nice and straight. Does not matter if you want to have a bend in the knees as well, that's perfectly fine. We'll just hold it here for one more round of breath. And then drop the knees down. Again, we'll come back onto the heels of the feet. This time actually interlace the fingers together, and we'll just make a couple of waves with the wrists. Really get some movement in there. Great. So this time we will move into a forearm plank. Won't do dolphin pose quite yet, just because I don't think we'll have enough time, but forearm pose will be the same foundation to set up for dolphin. So once you get a really good forearm plank, you'll be able to move into dolphin a lot easier. So one really good way to set up for any forearm pose is to bring your hands to your biceps, place them on the floor, and then bring the arms out in front of you with the palm facing down, and start to really push into the whole forearm and into the hands as well. You can start to draw the hands back. That helps to broaden through the upper back. So this is the alignment we want to work towards during our forearm planks. However, if you are quite tight in the upper back, you will notice when you move into either a forearm plank or into dolphin that your hands might start coming together. And that's perfectly fine. We want to work towards having a nice straight line between the elbows and the fingers. But if it's easier to start with until you build that strength in the upper back, you can bring your hands so they're in a tripod position. Just gives you a bit more support, and it will be the same kind of setup that you want your elbows to be stacked into your shoulders. So we'll move into our forearm plank now. So just set up whichever option you like, maybe try one and then move into the other. And just like our high plank, we'll step the left toes back, come to the ball of that foot, and then the right toes back. Again, try and have the heels stacked over the ball of the feet. Pull the navel in, push into the hands and the forearms. And then exhale, just bring the knees down. We'll just take a little bit of a counter pose for the arms. So bring in the hands behind us, interlace in the fingers, and just draw the arms back. If you can't interlace the fingers, you can bring the hands to opposite elbows and just open up this way as well. So a bit of a chest opener. And then just releasing the arms. So that is the end of our sequence today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it has helped bring some awareness to how we should really be using our foundation and how we should apply that in different poses. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you back for tomorrow, day 15.